let's talk about the blood. How did I really feel about it?
Let me time out for just a minute while you're thinking about the blood, because I wanted to ask you, we've talked a little bit about PG and this move to Netflix. What could that mean? And very early in the program, we saw that great Cody Rhodes promo. We saw the whisper from The Rock. I told my wife the same thing. I said, boy, that right there is less is more. It proves that sometimes you don't need 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bag, as we say here in Alabama, but I mean, less is more, because now there's so much intrigue about what did he say? What does it mean? Blah, blah, blah. And then later, when he stopped and asked about that by the interviewer, he says, go ask Cody Rhodes. And then she says, she pursues Cody, and it kept a thread all the way through.
Yes, exactly.
But what was really neat in the middle to me is talking about two things, and then we'll go back to the show. The CM Punk promo where he said, hey, my arm doesn't work, but my mouth still does. And he made some sort of reference to
his wife.
But we're not on Netflix yet. April knows what I'm talking about. So there's a Netflix reference that maybe we're going to get a little more edgy. And then he called out when Drew McIntyre referenced himself as the chosen one. I thought it was interesting that Punk said, oh, yeah, who chose you? So almost daring him to say Vince McMahon's name on the television program, which we know can't happen. I thought that was a fantastic segment and one of my favorite moments on the show, that whole Seth, Punk, Drew. I think Drew and Seth are like two of the unsung heroes. I know all of the attention right now is on Cody, Rock, and Roman, and I get that. But real MVPs of the last year for WWE, it's got to be Drew McIntyre, who I think is doing his best work yet. And Seth Rollins has been doing this on a bad wheel. It's really impressive what they're doing. But then fast forward to the end of the show. Not only the blood, but The Rock cursing multiple times, including where you could visibly see where he said,
oh, wait. That can't be, because Dave Meltzer said that the board, everybody wants Rock to sanitize the show and be an example. Dave Meltzer said it, so it must be true, right? Did Rock not get the memo? What the fuck?
That's a great question. We'll have to ask Mr. Johnson. But when he says this is what happens when you fuck with the final boss, I was like, wow, we're just dropping F-bombs on Raw. Now, granted, they knew it was coming and it was bleeped and they had plenty of coverage. But I'll tell you what, you want to talk about suspending disbelief. Everybody listening to this knows what pro wrestling is. But in real life, if you and I hated each other, we would not say, I'm going to kick your hiney, Mr. Bischoff. I am so upset with you. That's not the way we talk. And for him to say, this is what happens when you fuck with the final boss, it felt like a movie. It felt way more real than the cartoon confines of pro wrestling that sometimes has existed. I think this is a huge step in the right direction, and maybe further proof that the maybe not attitude era. It's a different era. We got to stop saying attitude era. I think a lot of people in the business are sick of us referencing the attitude era. I think this is, I don't know, not PG, but I loved it. As an adult wrestling fan, as a 42-year-old man, it was very well done and very believable. I like the blood. I like the F word. I like leaning into that. Now, I know you can't do it all the time. You got to make it special. If everybody's bleeding and cursing, it's not special. It doesn't stand out. But I thought it was done fabulously last night.
Yeah, I did too. And I want to talk about that again in just a moment. But I'm glad you brought up Punk and Drew and Seth. Sitting through that, I actually felt bad. I empathized with Punk because he can't wrestle. He can't really do anything physical in the ring. Right. Obviously, the audience wanted to see him. They wanted him to be a real part of the show. That was evident. But that's a tough spot to be in. It's a tough spot to be in when you can't do anything and everybody knows you can't do anything. So I thought, and as I'm listening to this, and I listened to it closely, I'm thinking, man, they're spending a lot of time just to make a point that CM Punk's going to be on commentary. Like,
right.
Who the fuck cares? Really? I mean, if you're a big CM Punk fan, of course, you're going to be happy for that. But it's not like he's going to go out there and do anything other than run his mouth. And I don't know what the timeline is for him to get back in the ring or not. I'm guessing it's, so it's not going to be like a week after WrestleMania, he's going to be in a match or he's going to be in a program. That's not it. But I'm sitting through that segment and I'm thinking, you're spending way too much time on this segment, way too much time. And there were some awkward moments and reactions because my feeling was if it was scripted, it was loosely scripted.
Absolutely.
I could be wrong, but it had enough peaks and valleys in terms of its quality. And I don't even say quality in terms of it
didn't feel scripted.
It wasn't as fluid as scripted promos tend to be. Therefore, it felt real.
Yes.
And I loved that. But I thought, man, this is going too long. And then came the finish of the segment and Seth with the sidekick and boom. And now it all of a sudden, however long that segment was, it might have been 6 minutes or 8 minutes is my guess off the top of my head. All of a sudden, it all made sense. It worked for me because they finished it. They finished it perfectly, and you delivered on that. And I thought it was pretty cool.
I thought it was a fantastic segment. I couldn't help but notice, not playing conspiracy theorist, but I couldn't help but notice that when Punk went to get out of the ring, he braced on the bad arm. So when he goes through the ropes to jump out, he had all his weight on that arm. And I was like, okay, then. Clearly he's been working hard and he's been rehabbing. Now, I don't have any inside knowledge, but obviously I know that Bruce had tricep surgery, I think the same week that Punk did. And from what I understand, that's several months. So I would think he's probably even very conservatively 2 months away. So do I think we'll see Punk over the summer? Absolutely. Any chance we'll see him at SummerSlam? 100%. I don't think we're going to see him turn that into a three-way, which is what a lot of people have been asking online. It's like, I just don't see that being possible at WrestleMania. However, they're not just going to have Punk do commentary. He's going to be involved in that match somehow. He's going to influence the finish somehow, and that will set up future business. And I, for one, am looking forward to that. Hey, it's Conrad Thompson here to tell you a little more about what AdFreeShows.com is all about. Get early, ad-free access to more than a dozen of your favorite wrestling podcasts every single week, starting at just $9. That's less than 20 cents an episode each month. And yes, you can listen to them all directly through Apple Podcasts or your regular podcast apps. How easy is that? Ad-Free Shows also has thousands of hours worth of bonus content and docuseries like Title Chase, Eric Fires Back, Conversations with Conrad, and The Insiders. Plus new series like The Book with David Crockett, Monday Mailbags with Mike Chioda and Nick Patrick, and a whole lot more. And you want to talk about early? You can't get any earlier than listening to the shows live. You can be a part of the live studio audience as we record the podcast. Plus, ride shotgun alongside your favorite childhood heroes for live watch-alongs, Q&As, and other interactive experiences every single month. Come on now, see for yourself what thousands of other wrestling fans from around the world have discovered, that AdFreeShows.com is the best value in wrestling. Check it out today, and hey, when you do, the first week is completely free. AdFreeShows.com.